Let's call this meeting to order of the Oconee County Planning Commission. This is July 7th, Thursday at 5 o'clock. Our first order of business is invocation. Mr. Smith, could I ask you to say the invocation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Father God, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We ask for your blessings upon us tonight so that we can plan for the future of the county. We ask for the safe journeys of all of our responders. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mike? Johnson, say please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, our next item is the approval of minutes for our June 20th meeting. I have a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Second. Is there any corrections? Make sure you read them good. Okay. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Commission member comments. Well, okay, never mind, excuse me. Public comment for non-agenda items. We have Miss Davis.
She's got a good one.
Hi, I'm Patsy Davis, and I wanted to ask y'all to do something in the form of like a 6-month instead of a 2-year moratorium on subdivisions. We have so many subdivisions already in the works. Till we need to make sure that all our services like police, fire, ambulance can handle all this growth. Plus, it's taking up our farmland, our trees are disappearing because, and we need them to breathe because they do good things for our air. I had submitted to the county council at their last meeting, and I didn't have a copy of about 23 people that's in support of this. I can get you that copy of that petition. But we need to manage growth. I'm not against growth and everything, but we need to manage it. This all came about at a food gathering that I was at, and we got to talking about land, and our farmland is disappearing due to subdivisions, and we need our farmland so we've got food to eat. There's just a lot that goes into this, so I'm just asking for, I may be calling it the wrong thing, but something to slow a lot of this building down, because I just got through building a house due to the tornado, trying to find a plumber or electrician because of all this growth. It's hard to get one because they've got so much new building going on. It's also driving our repair cost up. So there's just a lot of factors that's going in to why I'm asking this, and I know I'm not expressing it very good right now. But I just ask y'all to present this to the county council so that we can get a handle on all this growth, because one day I just got a vision that the 3 major towns is almost all connected by businesses already, and we're fast becoming Greenville with all this growth. And right around where I live on the Utica Mill Hill, we've got 500 plus homes that's planned. Streets of the Mill Hills can't handle that many more people. So, we got to make sure the sewer, water, the streets can handle this. Trying to get through Seneca now is really slows you down because of all the traffic. Mandolin didn't get here to put her name down, but if y'all allow her, she's going to explain what we want to accomplish in this 6 months moratorium. Education, some of it's education, research to make sure our services can handle this. So I just ask you for something that can put a stop to some of this going on so we can figure out where we want Oconee County to go. It's just crazy, and I do not want to become Greenville. I've done lived in Greenville, and I'm about ready to get out of Oconee County because there's too many people here already. And County Council approved $70,000 to $100,000 a couple of weeks ago for them to promote Oconee County. And that's how we're getting a lot of these people. Yeah, we want them to come and visit, but I want them to go home and everything. But they're coming and visiting, liking it, so they're coming and buying all these houses that these subdivisions is building. So I just ask you to do something to give us time to get a handle on it. From what I've heard, there's different groups that's working on different items. We just need time for all that to get presented to you. So I appreciate you listening. If you will, can you allow Mandolin to explain?
I've got her on the list now.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Ms. Bright?
Good evening. Hi. So this is my first time addressing the Planning Commission, but my name is Mandolin Bright, and I'm here primarily as a resident of Oconee County and a concerned citizen, but also in my role as Operations Director of the Oconee Food Council. So the Oconee Food Council is a developing organization that has formed out of grassroots organized events to address local food system issues. The first of these events that we held was in February 2020, and at that event we had 120 people that we asked to help us identify the most pressing issues that we needed to start working on in the local food system. One of those top 3 items that was identified at the event was sustainable land use and the need for some type of initiative to ensure that we were approaching our land use issues in a way that would preserve our food growing resources. So in my role as operations director for this forming council, I strive to serve all 80,000 people of this county. It's not an easy job. And in truth, I'm not really qualified to address land issues myself. But the way that I do my job is talking to people that are concerned about these things, and then talking to people in the county and in the communities that are in some position to do something about it, and just constantly looking for puzzle pieces that can fit together. And over the years of, coming into this role, I've talked to countless people that are concerned about where we're headed with the county. And the primary concern of the Food Council is agricultural land, is farmland. For the people that are supporting the Food Council and working on helping us develop this, food security is a top concern, and food security is treated like a national issue, like a federal issue. That like the federal government issues SNAP, for the people who are having a hard time acquiring food, but our former governor of South Carolina, David Beasley, is now the executive director of the World Food Program. And the writing on the wall is that global food shortages are coming for all of us, not just developing countries, but developed countries as well. And that means that food security is soon going to become a local issue. And we need to think about how to preserve our food producing resources in the county. Currently, processing of the food that's produced has felt like the more pressing issue for a lot of our producers that we currently have in the county. But if we don't have land to even produce the food that would need to be processed, that's going to eventually become a non-issue as well. So this is something that we need to address. And it's not going to be easy because preservation of farms and ag land is a problem that we're facing across the nation right now. This is not something that's unique to our county, and the solutions are not going to be easy for anybody anywhere. This is a rural county with like a deeply rooted agricultural community and people that have been producing food here for a long time. There's a lot of people that are aging out and it's not easy for young farmers to come in and just acquire the capital and support that they need to start an agricultural production. Or operation. So we're trying to find ways to support new producers. Pressing pause on residential housing development and subdivisions alone is not going to address these problems. And, my understanding about the legal precedent for moratoriums issued at the county and city level is that 6 months is more the norm. And there has to be some kind of plan in place about what you're going to do during that time. So, thankfully, the Food Council was already looking to connect with stakeholders on this issue, even though we're still developing and we still have some work to do to get fully established. But we actually did have a meeting with county leadership and some members of the Planning Commission back at the beginning of June to start discussing the need to preserve our agricultural land. And, we had the Planning Commission, Farm Bureau, Ag Advisory Board, Conservation Bank Board, and some other key stakeholders at the table. So, to my knowledge, this was the first meeting of its kind in the county to start addressing the issues with that set of stakeholders. And the tentative plan is to have some sort of task force that would work on this at the county level. So, we're already working on it. And if the people of the county felt that a short-term moratorium was the best way to press pause for us to get ahead of this and work on those issues, then I would support that personally as a concerned citizen of the county. But I can't speak on behalf of the Food Council and say that we all collectively would support that. But we need to consider all the tools in the toolbox because it might not feel that dire right now, but it will before long. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no one else on the non-agenda items. Now we will go to commission member comments. I'll start with Pat.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I always have something to say. I hope you gentlemen's been watching the news recently and developments in the things that are going on in our surrounding communities. Lawrence County just issued a moratorium on some building going on down there. I don't know the details. Franklin County, Georgia's also followed suit. Hall County, Georgia's followed suit. I think what brings about this from the folks I've talked to in those communities is public input, public opinion. All right, and the reason I'm saying that is I think on this commission we have personal opinions, and we're not listening to the public. We've been here talking about this issue about a year now. We've paraded people up here one right after another, supporting this suggestion that these young ladies had come up about. We've just got to do something, guys. I keep hearing personal property rights, and I'm an advocate of personal property rights, but in the business world today, that's just not a reason to not pursue some kind of standards on these high density developments. The community wants it. We have lots of agriculture support wanting it. I see the roadblock here is personal opinions. And I think we serve the public, and the public is speaking up to do something. So I ask everybody here, including Mr. Nix, who's not here today, that set aside your personal opinions and do what the folks of this community are asking us to do. And we've been asked to do a moratorium here. I hope that y'all would take that under consideration. And even further down the road than that, if we need some standards. We have got to do it. Everybody else is, so we tend to follow the leaders in this county. We're always behind years and years and years of things going on. So let's take the lead and be a leader and have a lot of forethought and just do something. Let's make a move. We've kicked the can down the road too long. Thank you.
Smith?
Well, my comment is, our role is to plan for the future, and we have fallen short in this particular area. When anybody mentions zoning, everybody gets tight-jawed about it, but we need to really start educating the public on the benefits of some zoning, and maybe take a hard look at the current zoning ordinance that we have, and maybe review it and revise it accordingly. It is not comfortable, it's not easy, but the agriculture land is being eaten up by these high-density developments, and the planning commission perhaps needs to be part of the approval process so that we can have a quasi-public hearing about some of these developments. That's it for me.
Mr. Johnson?
No comment at the moment.
Bassey?
I'm not opposed to solutions for subdivisions at all. I think we do have to be careful with moratoriums and things like that that may increase the cost of housing that people are already dealing with. So there's a lot of parts to the solution that we need to be open to. So
Well, I agree with Mr. Smith. We do need some standards. We have none. That's the reason we're having this buildup in the county, is because we have no development standards. They come in and can do pretty much what they please. But from what I've read, the role of the planning commission is we have a say-so over subdivisions, but when you have no rules, no guidelines, it goes back to what Pat was saying about it would be just an opinion we would have, because we have no rules set down to where we can make a decision. So I think our first decision should be to come up with development standards of some kind. I mean, they don't have to be everything at one time. We can start with a small section of them and then build on that. We got to get our own development standards before the planning commission could really have a part in determining what a subdivision can and can't do in this county. So we'll leave it at that. Staff comment.
The Fairplay Townville area sewer basin studies going on. Included the factors or the scan tags for you guys. If you want to find out about it, I know Mr. Gallen's been very interested in this, as well as they have a survey going on right now about what people think about the plans they have for that sewer expansion. So you can scan these. They did not provide a link for them. They sent them out in this format, but I can try and figure out from Chris what the actual links are, and I can send those to y'all separately if anybody's interested in that. Next thing I got for you is the subdivision applications, if you're ready to move on. Okay. Inside your packets, you've got two subdivisions that have come in recently. First, this is one that was recently before the BZA. It has several townhomes in this area, and then single family. This also includes this parcel, this parcel, and a few others. So this is a pretty substantial land. They are on both sides of the road. This is frozen, I guess.
And this is on 28 across from Kendall, correct?
No.
So here is Jacoa and Wells Highway. So you've got these pieces as well.
Takena, okay, I'm sorry, all right,
This is 59
Highway 50.
Wells Highway.
yeah, I got you.
This is the one that's gonna have the property, the landowner right in the middle, and he's gonna have townhouses on each side of him. I didn't know where did they cross the road at?
So that is.
Over in the eastern, southeast corner.
As well. On both sides of Wells Highway. Conroe's Creek application. I'll have this one as well. And Durham Brown. So, for your information.
How big are those lots?
Up here, you've got half-acre lots. Down here, anywhere from 0.6 to 1 1/4, 1 3/4. This is 2.8. And these are half-acre about the smallest.
No green space, nothing like that.
So there are some blue line streams that go through here that are
Well-
buffered streams that are required to be there, but there is no delineated parcel left for green space preservation.
I know where this piece of property is, and the reason those lots right in the middle are a little bit larger is it's pretty steep land. It's got,
Topography.
yeah, the topography is, I just don't see how they can do it, but
But at least they're half-acre lots and they're not putting 8 homes on 1-acre lots.
Mr. Williams, if you want to scoot over, you can scoot over a seat. You don't have to.
He wants to be next to me.
I do. I want to be next to Mike. Thank you, though, for the offer.
How long can these subdivisions stay active before they have to build? There's no set time limit, is there?
So, once the approval's done and they pull a permit is good for 6 months before it has to be renewed, but they can renew the permit.
They can just keep renewing it.
As far as I know.
The date, every time somebody touches it, either us or them, that re-ups it. So it,
Just goes on and on. And they could
As long as there's-
conceivably sell it to another developer if something goes sideways for them financially.
Yes.
Now, does all the roads in these subdivisions have a 50-foot right-of-way? Because they're gonna ask to turn everything over to the county
Yes.
eventually.
So this is a 50-foot right of way up here.
Oh, it's part of the approval process.
That looks too big.
Just curious.
Speaking of the 50-foot right-of-ways, that's current standard, correct? So Mike, Mr. Johnson, your proposal that we talked about last time of changing that around a little bit,
It has nothing to do with this.
I understand that, but, so we haven't gotten that to the council yet to be,
But it would have nothing to do with this.
you're correct. But I did talk to a builder here, actually, as I was coming up the road, that he had some lots that were not gonna be buildable, but with this change from 50 foot to the 20 or 30-foot right of way, he has an opportunity to build on a lot.
Correct.
Correct. So, but that has not been to council yet.
It's not been to council yet, but to bring it up, just so that it's clear, this is designed with 50-foot right-of-ways for the ability to have it as a public road, as opposed to something that's gated or a gated community or a gated private property that would be a private road. And it's the private road standards that we voted to adjust.
Anything else, James?
This is just for information.
Okay. Item number 9, subcommittee update on curb cuts.
We're going to talk about curb cuts on a small section of the highway that leads into Clemson, Highway 123. Just to refresh your memory, the Planning Economic Development Committee asked us to deal with this particular section of the highway and to see what we could do about reducing the number of curb cuts and perhaps encouraging connecting parking lots, which would further reduce curb cuts. In that effort, we formed a subcommittee, met a couple of times. The most productive couple of meetings was with Ben Olson from the South Carolina DOT. Very, very informative meeting. As a result of that meeting, we reached out to Greenville since Ben said that they had been successful. Unfortunately, we didn't get a real quick response from them. So we went ahead and we made this paragraph up. James did the footwork on this, and it is all it's an additional paragraph that will address this particular issue. My plan tonight is just to let this marinate, let you read it over. If you have any real comments about it, we'll certainly entertain them. But what I want to do is bring it up on the agenda for the next meeting. In the meantime, I've asked James to send out letters to all the property owners that have undeveloped property along that section of the highway, so they can come into the next meeting and let us know their thoughts or their opinions about this. Tom Markovich was part of this subcommittee. He's not here tonight. He had some other problems that he had to deal with. I see we have Kyle here. Did you want to comment about it, Kyle?
Not unless y'all have any questions for me regarding it.
I don't have any questions. You've sat in with us at one time, and I didn't think that you were, one way or the other about this thing. Were you, I'm sorry, my memory is fading at these moments, but were you there when Ben was talking with us? Were you not there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Do you want to voice an opinion? Please let us know.
No real opinion on my end, just like what Mr. Olson said. I mean, whatever the county passes, same for me as for him. We're going to abide by those things. I'm bound to the ordinance. He's really not, but they do look at that when they consider an encroachment permit from the county or from someone in the county that they follow the county rules and ordinances along their roads that council passes.
Okay. James, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, well, I do think just a little bit of more perspective on the number of people that could potentially be affected. So we did go through, we have envelopes already addressed for everybody that has undeveloped property. There's 36 total owners that this would affect. Now, some of those do have multiple properties. Clemson University is the largest landowner of undeveloped property in this corridor. And also, this is affecting a pretty limited section. So this is from the county line over by the bridges on 123. It goes up to the municipal boundary with Seneca right here. So this is not a huge portion of the county that would be under this revised additional ordinance.
Those numbers that are there are the latitude and longitude, so that there's no misunderstanding about the areas that we're talking about. In any case, if nobody has any real comments about it, I'm ready to give it up and let it go. The only motion I wanted to make was to disband the curb cut subcommittee. If somebody wants to second that motion.
I do have a question for you before we get to that, sir.
Oh, okay, sure.
Up to the current Seneca city limits, Seneca's being pretty aggressive about trying to expand, so what would happen in 5 years or so if they go another half mile down the road there? Would they have to assume that curb cut?
So if one of these properties were to get annexed into Seneca, it would no longer apply, so we would no longer be the agency they would be submitting to. We could revise the ordinance as that happened as well.
It just seems like that, if they're taking that into the city, that they would have to follow the current standard. So if it, because we can't implement anything inside city,
Correct.
but they can come to us and disband or discontinue what we're doing.
If they annex it.
If they annex it in.
If they annex it, then they have to they have to comply with Seneca's
Right.
development ordinances or whatever
Which
they
is-
have.
Possibly could be a little more,
Lenient?
either way, it could go either way. I'm not sure what Seneca's.
Yeah. Well, this is, we took it up to the line where Seneca was, and this is what we've been asked to do, and then carry it all the way down to the bridge into Clemson.
That's my question. Thank you, Mike.
All right, we have a motion on the table to disband the curb cut subcommittee. We'll need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah. We're out of business. That was a good subcommittee. That was really good. When we got Ben in there, that was really good. And we got it during the workday, so guys like Kyle and Ben didn't have to come in here after hours. So I thought that was a very, very good one.
All right. Item number 10.
Mr. Chairman, before I go on, just as a quick note, so for staff action, we will send out letters to have this on the next month's agenda for a motion or approval. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so we will invite every affected property owner to our next planning commission meeting and have this on again. Everybody's good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next item is the right-of-way letter. Ms. Richardson? Mr. Richardson? Yes.
Hello. Hi, my name is Serena Brown Richardson. I've lived in Oconee County for most of my life. My family's been here for a lot of generations. You may recognize some, the Browns, Lands, Emersons, Taylors. Came from Anderson, the Browns did farm agricultural land. I recently saw the article in the Seneca Journal and I was very upset regarding the proposal to change the private roads and drive ordinance within the county. This proposal y'all know what it removes and does. The 50-foot right-of-way requirement only to 20. Upon further research, I learned this change will relax our current standards and development within the county. Excuse me. And after more research, I learned Pickens, Anderson, Greenville, Lawrence, and a lot of other counties in our areas require that right-of-way for the private roads and drives. And why should we be taking a step backwards? Actually heard a couple of you speak about us needing to do some development standards and things. Our county's getting way overdeveloped, so why would we want to take a step backwards and remove that from the ordinance? It's growing by leaps and bounds, and part of it is the Southern appeal that draws people to our area. And I'm a little confused on how a planning commission member can present something to the committee and then it be voted on. And I'm more concerned about, basically, I don't think the property's been owned for less than 5 years, and to subdivide for, tiny homes. And you were aware of those restrictions when it was bought, and I think those standards should be held. I don't think this is really for Farmer Brown to divide his land for his grandkids. I feel it's to aid in giving developers more access to our county. And if Farmer Brown's owned that land for family generations, then he should come before us and you guys and get that voted on and maybe get a variance, because it's been in the family for generations, not bought by somebody to develop. So I believe that, is a conflict of interest, and I believe this would have a negative impact on taxpayers, because one day we probably will have to take over those roads. I heard a lot of good comments from some people on different things that I think kind of address this. We need to protect our county and develop it in a positive way. Losing regulations is surely not the way to do it. That's taking a step backwards. And is anyone even considering, even with what y'all discussed a while ago, are they considering the impact on the school system? Are our schools already at maximum capacity? If you're adding a subdivision with hundreds and hundreds of homes, can the schools support that? And the loss of the agricultural land to the development is, a detriment to our environment and our county. And I think there should be some kind of incentives to keep these agricultural lands, agricultural. And, those hundreds of acres and property owners that have those restrictions, maybe they could convert them to that, and they wouldn't need that to be changed, the right-of-way to be changed. And I'm aware of recently, my niece lives in Anderson County, a big development wanted to come, and they turned them down because of the school capacity. So that is something, too, that I want to make sure is considered. When I saw that article in the paper, unfortunately it was a bad weekend, but I have started a petition that I'm going to present of people that are opposed to this. I have over 350 at this time. So, the veteran Oconee County residents are not happy with this. I mean, we need to develop, we're gonna develop, but we don't need to overdevelop. Kind of like the $70,000 or whatever that was spent to get people, we don't need to advertise people to get here. They're coming, they know we're here. That $70,000 could be used to improve Knox Road, and Everett Road, well, Knox is a state, sorry, but Everett Road isn't. And the things that are getting added off of Knox Road affect that, and half of it's county. I actually need to probably submit to you guys, I have a recording of a big transfer truck going down Everett Road and another truck coming this way and almost knocked them off the road. And all the extra developments, just add a lot. I'm worried about the emergency vehicles as well, getting to those areas. So I appreciate your time. I thank you for listening to me.
Mike.
Which one?
Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry.
Two of
Could
us
you
up
give a brief explanation of this?
Sure. Sure, happy
What
to.
you're proposing?
And I would love to, and I'm more than happy to give that explanation to whoever might want to listen to it that wasn't at the previous meeting. And I say that because there's 300 and some odd people that are signing a petition that has nothing to do with what this last presentation was about. This is a private, so that everybody understands, if you have, the county defines residential dwellings not as 911 addresses, but as if you have a house and you have a garage apartment, or you have a barn that has a bathroom in it and a kitchen, that's 2 residential dwellings. If you have a main house, a garage apartment, and a barn, and you own 100 acres, 20 acres, 10 acres, you can never sell or build another structure on that 10 acres or 100 acres or 200 acres if you already have 3 structures, unless you have a 50-foot access to your property. So in the past, there has not been this 50-foot access, and at some point, we've had different people say different time frames of when those took place. One was a 2008 to 2010, one was a 2013. But that came into being that private roads on private property, instead of having curb to curb, became a 50-foot right-of-way to match the public roads right-of-way. Public roads absolutely need that 50-foot. Reason being is the road is 20-foot wide, curb to curb. The 50-foot for public access, when they're out there repairing roads, they need to be able to pull off to the side. If you get a flat tire, you need to be able to pull off to the side. if you've got emergency traffic and somebody needs to pull over, that's pulling off to the side. But if you've got a farm out here and you've got a driveway going down that farm and you want to give some land to your child, you don't need that extra space to pull off to change a tire. You just need to be able to get home. And so this turns around and corrects that change back to what it used to be. As far as other counties, interestingly, other counties don't have the 50-foot right-of-way to begin with, even on their public roads. Many of them are down to 25 and 30 in other counties. So, but we don't want to address the public roads. We want to address the private properties that don't have access into their property to do it. The other thing that it can't do is that the right-of-ways, in those right-of-ways, you can't have anything. No trees, no fences, no whatever. So if you have a horse farm and you want to put fences on either side of your drive coming in, if you have more than 3 residences, your right-of-way can't have anything in that 15 feet on either side of the curb. The last part about it is people talk about safety and fire safety and things like that. Public roads and private roads still have to have a 20-foot wide road. Has no effect on on fire access or anything like that as far as either public or private. Still have to have 20 feet wide of whether that's pavement or gravel or otherwise. And that's based on construction mechanisms. Those construction mechanisms aren't changing. It's simply the land beyond the curb that we're proposing be changed. And only on private roads, not on public roads. As far as development, I hear what everybody's saying from a development standard, and I'm a big fan of development standards. I'm not a fan of private property behind my gates saying that I can't sell some land to my grandkids or divide something off. And I say me, it's not me, it's hundreds of residents out there, especially down in the Fairplay area, that are currently being penalized.
Okay, there will be a presentation at the next Transportation Committee, the same presentation that Mr. Johnson gave to us about this. We're also doing that at the Transportation Committee meeting, and that's the 19th. James, do you know about what time, or maybe Kyle can tell us what time that meeting is?
4:30.
4:30. So with that said, Mr. Kyle, do you have anything that you would like to say about that, about what we're proposing?
No, just here in case y'all had any questions about what was being proposed.
All right. Going back to the letter, has everyone read the letter that Mr. Johnson has written?
Mr. Chairman, I have one change, and I already spoke to Mr. Johnson about this, but the second paragraph is the planning department is making a recommendation. This is coming from the commission, not the department.
Yeah, we need to change that one word. So I'll make a motion that with the change from department to commission, that this letter be approved and forwarded on to the Transportation Committee.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of sending the letter to the Transportation Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right here.
Motion passes 3-2.
Item number 11, commercial junkyards. We have no public comment on that item either. Has everyone read over the definitions and we had last meeting? They have any changes? Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
I suggest the second line after boats, you put a diagonal and put watercraft. Because I'm thinking about jet skis.
Could we not just eliminate the word boats altogether and put watercraft in its place? That would cover both.
That would seem like a real reasonable to me.
I would also like something put in there. I know we have the word commercial, but I would like, there's a couple of things that we've got in here that for commercial storage. We have, we're not putting in storage places like your storage, your towing companies that store cars for a short period of time. I think that needs to be, the storage part needs to be stricken out of there, because that could fall back on these towing and in places like that, that would only have the cars for a short time. But we need something in there that actually points to the fact that this is property that has items on it like this that are for sale to the public. They're not just sitting there, they're actually selling parts off of them. Some say commercial covers that, but I would like for it to actually be in the definition somewhere where it says a junkyard is a place that they actually sell parts off of these boats and cars and backhoes or whatever they have there. They're selling parts off of them to the public. Because to me, this could fall back on an individual person that has 5 cars on his property. And that his property would be considered a junkyard. Because there's no specific number of any items. It could be 1 car or 10 cars or 100 cars or 100 items. But,
Well, Mr. Chairman, the way I read it, it says for commercial storage and/or sale. That eliminates the public. The individual landowner or property owner that has 5 cars sitting in his yard. Does it not? And then the definition clearly defines it not, the definition does not include motor vehicles, impound lots, or tow yards. So that gets the impound, the impounds and the tow yards out of the picture. Commercial clearly states that you know that it is a commercial business and not private property or private landowners.
well, a towing company is a commercial business. They store cars until the insurance company comes and gets them, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year and a half. So they're storing the vehicle there, and that's covered under that commercial storage. That's not considered a junkyard, that's just a storage yard.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I was saying when, on the storage part of it, somehow needs to be taken out of there. Because junkyards don't store cars, they got them there and they tear them apart and sell the parts off of them. And then once they get down to the last piece, they crush them and take them to a salvage yard.
Where did this definition come from?
Did we not pull this out of Anderson or
I think we started with Pickens,
Higgins or Anderson?
and this has changes to it already.
Yeah, it's been changed, and
So it's already been critiqued and changed and another county's using it, so why should we even?
because everything other counties do does not fit Oconee County.
Well, that goes back to what I'm saying, we're not looking forward, Mr. Chairman, we trying to appease way too many people. We gotta make bold moves and bold statements and bold decisions to protect our growth and our future of what our county looks like, and we just can't if another county abides by it or uses it, so why can't we?
So, and I'm not getting into it. All right. Anyone else?
So is this a motion or what's the,
We have no motion at this time.
Are we just reviewing this then for definition? Do we move it forward from here anyway?
This is the beginning of the junkyard ordinance, and in order to have the ordinance, you have to have definitions to know what you're actually trying to have an ordinance about. And this is just part of the beginning definitions of it.
but did it need to be a motion to move forward with it, or is it just for our information, for information only, or?
This was brought up this was a definition we came up with at last meeting. Everyone was asked to read over it to see if it needed changed, needed to be added to, or anything else, to bring it back to this meeting to approve those two definitions. So I guess we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the two definitions as are written.
So we have made one change so far. We eliminated the word boats and changed it
To watercraft. So I'd like to make a motion that with the change of removing boats, adding watercraft in its place, that the two definitions be approved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Not opposed, it is 4-1. Motion passes.
All right. Our last item is number 12.
Can I make a?
Yeah.
We've been asked by the public to take under consideration a moratorium. And I'm asking my fellow council, or commissioners here, do we want to proceed with that at this time? We've been asked to possibly put up a 6-month moratorium. Is that something that we'd like to take under consideration at this time? Or,
I'd like to
I
make,
think we can,
I'd like to make a statement. We can't add anything to the agenda.
okay.
It has to be an agenda item. We can't add anything, and we can add it to the next meeting, but we can't do it to this one.
Yeah, that's fine, sir. I appreciate
So, I
it.
mean, we can direct staff or direct James to add it, put it on our next agenda. That way he can remember it and I will forget it. So if you will put that on our next agenda, we'll bring it up at that point. All right?
With the junkyards, before you adjourn, last meeting you had some ideas for sections to be included in this. Didn't know if you guys wanted to discuss that at all and start moving into the next phase now that you have these two definitions, or if you'd like to think about that for your next meeting.
Go ahead, Mike.
we made a motion and we passed it at the last meeting that we were going to use an outline concept once we got past this definition. So I'd like to really stick with that and not get into virtual text in each section, just outline it, because the elephant is in the room and we're not addressing it. And that elephant is, what are we going to do about the existing ones? Are we going to grandfather everybody in? Or are we going to have a certain period of time where they have to have something like fencing up or other issues that are going to come up? But we need to think about that, because that elephant is in the room and he's right here. It's a big one.
Yep.
Big elephant.
How big is it, Mike?
It takes over at least a third of the room. I'm not including any of you ladies in here. I'm not getting into that.
Barely squeaked by that one.
That's right. I got by it, though.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank everybody.